areas on the far side of the pitch. Infield it goes this time to Jacob Ramsey, up to Voldemar, back out on the far side to Jacob Murphy. Too many Jacobs for Trippier inside this time to Ramsey. Ramsey sidesteps one on the edge of the Villa box in front of the Holt end. Short pass is just taken off his toes, and Barkley finds Digne. Digne to Abrahams. Abrahams with a lovely little layoff. Now Morgan Rogers on the drive forward. Dan Boyne goes from left centre half over to right back. Crossfield ball goes in by Morgan Rogers, headed away by Malik Chow, picked up by Abrahams, out to Bailey. Bailey into the Newcastle box, left foot shot blocked by the legs of Lewis Hall. Villa very quick to pounce on that. Onana to Bogard. Bogard back to Onana, 12 yards outside the Newcastle penalty area, away to my right. Louise to Onana. Onana tries to play it through to Barkley, but it's far too easy for Malik Chow to get the ball away. Up it goes in this feet of Asula. Asula back to Murphy. Murphy back to Trippier. Infield to Voltemada of Newcastle. Back on this near side to Malik Chow. Chow to Harvey Barnes. Back to Malik Chow. 6 yards outside the Newcastle penalty area, away to my right hand side. Short pass back to Aaron Ramsdale. Ramsdale through the hole made by both Abraham and Barkley into the feet of Tonali, who plays it out to the right-sided centre-half, Dan Burn. Slightly interesting that Dan Burn preferably goes down the left, is playing on the right of the central defensive partnership. You do wonder if that's literally to try and pick up the threat of Tammy Abrahams. Ball into the middle of the park. Good play by Ramsey out to Trippier. Trippier just outside the penalty area of Villa. Plays the ball in. Flicked header by Voltemada. Near side. Going to be picked up by Harvey Barnes down by the dead ball line. Plays it to the edge of the box. Ramsey gets a toe in. Onana gets a toe in. Ball squirts outside of the Villa penalty area. Trippier tries to play it in. Hits the feet this time of Tonali. And good work by Digne, and Pau Torres gets the ball to Rogers. Good toe in this time inside the middle of the park of Aston Villa's half by Dan Burn. And now Tonali takes over. Rolls the ball back to the halfway line. Remember, Newcastle attacked the goal away to my left, which is the Holt end of the ground here at Aston Villa. Everybody knows the Holt end. Tonali comes forward. Short pass to Trippier, back to Burn. Burn to Chow. Chow inside the centre circle on the Villa side of the pitch, which is to the left of the halfway line. Out to the left back Hall. Hall down the line to Barnes. Barnes infield to Voltemada. Back to Hall. Little pause in proceedings while I take a breath as the ball is played by Chow across to Trippier. Dan Burn now moves back to his favoured left-hand side as Chow gets the ball to Dan Burn. He backs off 18 yards inside his own half, up to the halfway line to Nick Voltemar. Voltemar comes in to his own half by 4 or 5 yards before playing it out towards those technical areas to the right back. Trippier, who goes for a sweeping crossfield diagonal, picks out Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes with a chance to run inside of Lamar Bogard, fires a shot in fully 26, 27 yards out, and there's a good 8 or 9 yards wide of Marco Bizzo's right post in the goal away to my left-hand side. Somewhat dragged it, a bit like me on the first tee of a golf course. Topped the old golf ball, didn't really get it up in the air. So there we are. Thomas Tuchel is in the stands today. The manager will be looking down. Always trying to try and impress. Thumb long by Bizzo. Clears ahead of Malik Chow. And yeah, I think Dan Burn and Malik Chow are going to swap around from left and right centre half every time Tammy Abrahams makes his run in different areas. I think the physicality of Tammy Abrahams versus Dan Burn could be the matchup that Eddie Howe wants to see. So I don't think those two as centre halves, Malik Chow and Dan Burn, will necessarily stay in those same positions. Tonali's been caught late in the middle of the park by Douglas Luiz, and Dan Burn plays the ball out to the right back Trippier, who heads the ball forward. Good work by Jacob Murphy, facing the touchline and technical areas on the far side of the pitch. Hooks it into the penalty area of Aston Villa. Headed away by Pau Torres, headed back forward and all the way through to Marco Bizzo in the penalty area in front of the Holt end for Aston Villa. Emiliano Martinez is on the bench. Waits until he's put under pressure from William Asula, who's sort of playing as the front mount as we anticipated. Bowled out underarm by Bizzo to Lindelof. Lindelof, right football into the middle of the park. Easy clear there by Jacob Ramsey in the middle of the park. And now it's Newcastle coming forward with Jacob Murphy to Trippier. Trippier down the side of the penalty area of Aston Villa. Murphy tries to cross it in. Clears everybody's head off of Morgan Rogers. And Newcastle can't do enough on this near side. Leon Bailey receives the ball from Douglas Luiz, goes back to Douglas Luiz, a little bit close. Good tackle by Hall. Voltemada trying to twist away from Ross Barkley in the middle of the park. Now trying to twist away from Leon Bailey. Does really well to hold the ball up. Back to the lip of the centre circle on the Villa side of the pitch, which is to the left of the halfway line, where Tonali clips it out to Trippier. Trippier on the volley through for Jacob Murphy, who's 2 yards offside, and it's a fluttering flag from the linesman on the far side, as we used to call them back in the day, but they are now referees' assistants. We're into the 11th minute of the game here. Aston Villa 0, Newcastle 0. Both keepers have really not been tested in terms of having their palms stung at any given point. Ball's played back into the Aston Villa penalty area to Bezo. Bezo out to Lindelof, back to Bezo, forward to Luiz, who squares it to Lindelof, who comes out of the penalty area away to my left-hand side. Lindelof 12 yards, 6 yards, halfway line, over the halfway line, ball inside to Barkley. Barkley through a little hold of Morgan Rogers. Rogers driving towards the penalty area, steps past Chow, plays it out to Digne. Digne lifts it into the Newcastle box. Aaron Ramsdale comes out and catches safely above his head. Rolls it out. Good pace to this game so far. Underarm to Ramsey. Ramsey, former Aston Villa player. Out to Trippier. Trippier looking for the run of Asula. Headed away by Pau Torres. Amadou Onana gets there before Voltemada. Plays it to Lindelof. Lindelof, short ball along the ground into the feet of Douglas Luiz, who turns now and plays it to his right to Amadou Onana. Amadou Onana coming forward, waiting for a Newcastle man to come and close his space. Does so, plays out to Lindelof. Lindelof to Douglas Luiz, and Douglas Luiz up and over the halfway line. Newcastle back in shape. Villa trying to find some space, but not being able to at the moment, and playing little triangles on the halfway line. Lindelof back to Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz, lip of the centre circle, Newcastle side of the pitch, which is to the right of the halfway line. Short pass across to Pau Torres. Torres back to Lindelof. Lindelof out near side to Onana. Onana further out to Leon Bailey. Bailey shut down quickly by Hall. Goes back to the feet of Bogard. Bogard to Onana. Back to Lindelof, just about adjacent to the centre spot in the middle of the park. Plays it to his left, this time to Torres. Torres to Douglas Luiz. Back to Torres. Torres back to Lindelof. And this action for Aston Villa is middle third of the pitch. And into the feet it goes to Onana, who manages to make a false touch but get away from Voltemada. And his pass is blocked very quickly by the feet of Jacob Ramsey. Balloons back to Lindelof, who heads it back to Onana. And Onana finds Pau Torres. Torres to Luiz over the halfway line, 6 yards into the half. Up to the feet of Abraham, plays it into the feet of Barkley. Barkley gets their first free kick given away. Bit of a loose challenge there. One of those that Malik Chow had to go for. It was a heavy touch from Ross Barkley, and that allowed Chow to think he could get the ball, but then Barkley managed just to get his toe on it. And over the outstretched leg of Malik Chow went Ross Barkley as he made his second touch. Free kick to Aston Villa. Chance to put a little bit of a menacing spin over the penalty area of Newcastle United away to my right. 14th minute of the game. Newcastle hold the line right on the edge of their 18-yard box. Penalty area away to my right-hand side. Ramsdale looks out. Standing over the ball is Morgan Rogers. It is just about central. If Ramsdale looks at it, his penalty spot and centre spot, it would be a fraction, a minute of a degree to plus out. Douglas Luiz clips it over the top, round the back as Abraham gets it down, turns it into the back of the net, but has the flag gone up? The answer to that is no. What a clever free kick that was. Tammy Abrahams opens the scoring on 14 minutes, and excellent work by Aston Villa with a set piece, because it looked, to all intents and purposes, somebody else was going to take it. Rogers laid it to the side. Douglas Luiz clipped it over the top. Tammy Abraham really did time his run to perfection, chested it down in splendid isolation behind the Newcastle defence, and he turns and puts the ball into the back of the net. It looks as though it's going to be one. Oh, it's close. VAR may well have a look at this one now. It's a lovely finish. Linesman on the near side hasn't given it, but I think we may see this one chalked off for VAR here. Abraham going a little too early. It's a wonderfully worked free kick, and it's an excellent finish by Tammy Abraham. But you have to say there's a real chance of VAR intervening here. Unai Emery applauding hard, but Just waiting to see if we can get... No, the goal has stood. I'm just double checking on the VAR and the situation. I don't think VAR comes in until later on in the FA Cup. Near side, Bogard. Gets the ball forward to Bailey, given away by Bogard into the box this time on his right foot is Asula, and he's had a real slap at that. And he's put it very, very wide at the Aston Villa goal away to my left-hand side. Eddie Howe would be a little bit disappointed, one would say, just at the moment. Asula, give him a chance to stake a claim at the top of the park. Near side, Bogard down the line to Bailey. Bailey up and over the halfway line. Across comes Tonali, across comes Hall. Just cleared it up there. Back it goes to Byrne. Byrne into the penalty area of Newcastle, away to my right-hand side, where Ramsdale sweeps the ball out to Malik Chow. So just verifying there that VAR does not come into the FA Cup until a later stage. Just used to seeing two Premier League sides and believing that VAR was on its way. Anyway, thump forward, Digne with the header away. Morgan Rogers with two for company. Oh, he's done really well to turn away from both Kieran Trippier and, of course, Jacob Ramsey. Drives into the half. Voldemar has a little drag of the shirt. Ross Barkley, Leon Bailey pulls it back. First time shot by Abraham. Almost ricochets back there to Ross Barkley. Cleared by Voldemar against Lewis Hall. There's shouts for handball inside the Aston Villa penalty area. To Bogard, Bogard to Bailey. Bailey 12 yards away from the dead ball line. Away to my right-hand side. Back to Bogard. Back to Leon Bailey. Just in front of him, Lewis Hall. Sets the ball out this time to Onana. Onana back to Lindelof. Lindelof square to Pau Torres. 15 yards inside the half. Clips it over the top for the left back. Good ball in by Luca Digne. And in the end, Ross Barkley saw the bouncing ball come. Tammy Abraham saying calm down, but he volleys it into the floor and safely up into the hands this time of Aaron Ramsdale. So it is Aston Villa 1, Newcastle 0. Goal scored by Tammy Abrahams on 14 minutes. Newcastle have got to find a riposte. Their season has been unravelling somewhat. Near side, Hall into the fit of Barnes. Barnes pushed to the floor, right underneath the vantage point of our cameras here at Villa Park, from which I'm glancing down on the Villa Park turf. Aston Villa have a player down in the shape of Tammy Abrahams, who's just wiggling his left ankle, got his arm around it, but waiting to see if he needs any treatment at the moment. I really believe if this was Premier League stuff, then that goal is chalked off for offside. It's a lovely finish by Abrahams. He chests it down 7 yards out. And just turns on it, swivels on it, and then hooks it into the ground and over. Douglas Luiz is over the moon, and so he should be, because Douglas Luiz plays such a massive, massive part in that. Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall screaming from the touchlines. I'm just getting the replay down by the side of me saying there's 3 offside. And indeed, I did call offside, but the referee's assistant on the near side, not going to mention any names, no pack drill. I think he must have been looking at something totally different, like a cup of tea or something, because he hasn't had a look. 20 on the clock, Aston Villa 1, Newcastle 0. Tammy Abrahams has had his little bit of treatment, and he's making his way off to the touchline on the far side of the pitch. But Paul Tierney just making sure that he doesn't go on within his 30 seconds. Newcastle on the ball. Malik Chow comes forward, goes for a crossfield. right to left, picks out Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes, faced by Leon Bailey, goes inside, up to the feet of Voltemada. Voltemada being held up, gets away from 2 or 3 here. Can he play it right-hand side? He can indeed, and finds Trippier, level with the 18-yard box of Aston Villa. Underlapping run goes by Voltemada again, being tracked by Douglas Luiz. Back it goes into the feet this time of Jacob Murphy, who comes in field. Lays the ball off this time to Tonali. Tonali back to Trippier. Trippier level with the Aston Villa penalty area. Plays it to Murphy, whose cross goes into the backside of Douglas Luiz. Villa don't clear their lines very well. And now Morgan Rogers just keeps it from going away for a corner. And Lindelof manages just to shovel the ball up to the halfway line, where Dan Burn gallops into his own half, but goes back by some 6 or 7 yards. But Dan Burn plays it square to Malik Thiaw. Thiaw over the halfway line, down that right wing into the feet of Trippier, the right back to the halfway line to Malik Thiaw. Thiaw into Dan Burn, he's 12 yards inside his own half, which is to the right of the halfway line. Across to the left back, Lewis Hall. Down the line to Barnes. Barnes with the ball over the top, looking for the run of William Asula. Excellent defensive work by Victor Lindelof. Taken to Manchester United by Jose Mourinho, who really did rate him, and he had quite a career, quite a distinguished career at Manchester United in what was a struggling side, but a very calm Swedish centre half. Halfway line, Dan Burn into the feet of Voltemada. Voltemada tracked by Onana, plays it back to the halfway line to Hall. Hall goes in field before rolling it back into his own half, some 13 yards to the feet of Daniel Burn. Dan Burn plays it out left-hand side to Barnes. Barnes ran the corner to Voltemada, laid off by Voltemada to Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes going square across the middle of the Aston Villa half to the left of the halfway line, out to Trippier. Trippier out to Murphy, back to Trippier. First time crossing towards the penalty spot, headed away by Lindelof. Lewis Hall come forward. Lovely skill by Lewis Hall. Excellent tackle by Victor Lindelof inside his own penalty area. Had to make sure he got the ball, and did get the ball. And as the ball is played up to Tammy Abrahams, a little bit of skill there sees him upended for a free kick for Aston Villa. But Lewis Hall on the thigh, on the belly. I have to say, I'm just looking at that again. It's not the best challenge by Victor Lindelof. It looked like an excellent challenge. He just thrust his leg out. 23 minutes on the clock. No attempt to get the ball by Lindelof, but a definite attempt to block the path of Lewis Hall. Lindelof's on the football now, rolls it back into his own penalty area, away to my left-hand side, and the Holt end. Watch Bezo take a touch for right-footing the ball forward. Clears ahead of Dan Burn, bounces once, twice, 3 times, and outside the penalty area, away to my right. Ramsdale comes into the D of his own penalty area before playing a short pass to Dan Burn. Burn to Hall. Hall faced by Bailey, down the line into the feet of Barnes, round the corner to Asula, who runs beyond the ball, and Lindelof just eases him out of the way, and Pau Torres runs back towards the Villa penalty area away to my left-hand side before flicking it back to Bezo. Bezo knocks the ball to his right foot and then goes for a right to left towards Morgan Rogers, who's out-jumped 12 yards inside the Aston Villa half by Malik Thiaw. Douglas Luiz round the corner up to the feet of Abraham. Abraham tracked by Dan Burn. Back it goes to Luca Digne. Digne level with his own 18-yard box on the far side of the pitch. Remember, Aston Villa defend the goal away to my left in front of the Holt end as I face the pitch. Pau Torres gets the ball up to Tammy Abrahams. Dan Burn goes through Tammy Abrahams, 4 yards inside the Aston Villa half. Fouls him, whistle blown. Yeah, Aston Villa defend the goal away to my left-hand side in front of the Holt end. Newcastle defend the goal away to my right as I face the pitch. Sandro Tonali getting the ball off the toes of Barkley before finding Trippier. Trippier back to Malik Thiaw. Thiaw to Burn. Burn to Hall to Harvey Barnes. 8 yards inside the Newcastle half into the feet of Voltemada. Third time layoff back to Dan Burn. Dan Burn to his right finds Ramsdale. Ramsdale goes further right to Malik Thiaw. Thiaw round a corner, cut out easy by Douglas Luiz on the halfway line. Very, very poorly placed pass there by the Brazilian centre half. Unai Emery applauding his side for the hard work rate they're putting in, but it's a little bit uncomfortable just with the 1-goal lead. No side really in that much of an ascendancy at the moment. Newcastle with the ball with Ramsdale, a good 12 yards outside his own penalty area. Plays it to Burn. Burn back to Ramsdale, who advances a few more yards towards the halfway line. Plays it out to Thiaw. Thiaw down the line to Trippier. Trippier tries to play it down the line. Newcastle enjoying a real concentrated spell on the football over the last 5 minutes. Don't get the goal on 14 10 minutes ago. We're into the 25th minute. Aston Villa 1, Newcastle 0. Free kick cleverly taken, disguised by Douglas Luiz, walking away from the ball, turned, flicked it, clipped it over the top. Tammy Abrahams chested it down, back to goal. Played it into the turf and it bounced over the on-rushing Aaron Ramsdale for 1-0, but it was a goal that on any other day in the Premier League between these two sides, you'd have ended up seeing chalk time for offside, I have to say. Malik Chow has just got a yellow card for a foul this time on Morgan Rogers. And quite a harsh one in fairness. Wasn't a sort of clear, a hand on the shoulder, but not really a big shirt pulling. But Newcastle must feel, and Eddie Howe must feel, because they saw on the replay 3 Villa players possibly in offside position when that goal went in. But no VAR until the later stages of the FA Cup. Douglas Luiz with this free kick for Aston Villa. About 8 yards inside the Newcastle half, which is to the right of the halfway line. Tammy Abrahams runs beyond the back four of Newcastle United. Douglas Luiz goes for a big diagonal, finds Leon Bailey. Bailey faced by Hall. Down the side of the Newcastle penalty area. Good work coming in by Harvey Barnes. Dispossesses Leon Bailey, who goes down in a crumpled heap like he's injured. Barnes tries to flick it with the outside of his boot like the right back in a 70s Brazilian side. I think it was Jairzinho down the line, but he got it all wrong and Villa tidy up rather easily. Would have been a great ball if it had come off, but Harvey Barnes got it totally wrong. Big ball forward, Chow with the big header away. Halfway line now, holding up is Barnes. Barnes lets it bounce off his knees and straight back to Leon Bailey. Bailey now midway inside the Newcastle half. Going square, short pass to Douglas Luiz, who rolls the ball out to the left back. Luca Digne. Digne crosses the ball towards the penalty spot. Free header coming in there, bowing down by Leon Bailey. Got it all wrong. And it goes wide of Aaron Ramsdale's right-hand post away to my right-hand side. Really was a little bit awkward. He's crouching down, resists the gag about hidden tiger and all the rest of it, but got his head on it, but slightly behind it, always going wide. Very difficult art form to try and get it in from there, but he had a go. Ramsdale smites it from my right to my left. Headed on by Voltemata. Turned forward this time by Jacob Ramsey into the feet of Asula. Asula 12 yards outside the Villa penalty area. Tries a square ball to Ramsey. Cut out this time by Morgan Rogers, who rolls the ball back to Bezo. And Bezo thumps a long ball up towards the halfway line. Abrahams gets a header to it. Ross Barkley finds Douglas Luiz, who's running back towards his own goal. Away to my left at the moment. Twists and turns before playing it across to Victor Lindelof. Lindelof still on the ball, up to the feet of Onana. Onana to Lamar Bogard. Bogard round the corner into the feet of Barkley. Barkley tries to get away from Tonali, who dispossessed him. Voldemort this time plays the ball to Jacob Ramsey. Into the box he goes. He's shepherded by two, goes down in a heap. Referee Chris Kavanagh says no foul, no penalty. And Bezo picks the ball up. Newcastle United, though, not taking this lying down, and possibly the better of the sides currently, without threatening Marco Bezo in the goal in front of the Holt end away to my left-hand side. On ball forward by Bezo, headed on the halfway line by Hall forward. Voltemata gets it down to Asula, plays it back to Barnes, who runs away from it. Leon Bailey takes the ball over. Excellent challenge comes in by Jacob Ramsey. Lewis Hall picks the ball up just by the centre spot in the middle of the park. Chiao to Tonali. Bruno Guimaraes out to Trippier. Trippier level with the 18-yard box of Aston Villa away to my left. Rolls it back slightly infield to Tonali. Tonali to Trippier. Trippier inside to Chiao. Chiao. What's he going to do? Voldemort comes short, but he goes back to the lip of the centre circle on the Aston Villa side of the pitch, which is to the left of the halfway line, where Dan Burn plays it back to Chiao. Chiao to Trippier. Trippier, I should say properly, to Tonali. Tonali back to Chiao. Chiao to Burn. And now it's a disciplined shape from Aston Villa, forcing Newcastle back, given away by Malik Chow, straight to the feet of Ross Barkley, who gallops forward. He hasn't got a lot to his right. He's edging right, slips the ball right now to Tammy Abraham. Tries to curl it into the box, comes off the legs of Dan Burn and haplessly balloons up like a tennis ball for Aaron Ramsdale to come and claim and bowl the ball out. We're into the 30th minute of the game. Aston Villa 1, Newcastle 0. Great goal score from a nice set piece, albeit offside. We'll say that. I say it's a great goal because it was a rather clever set piece. But for all the world as though one player was going to take it. Douglas Luiz walked away totally disinterested, then turned and clipped it in over the top of the Newcastle defence. There were 3 Aston Villa players that were in offside positions. VAR not in this game. Onto the chest of Tammy Abrahams, back to goal, 7 yards out. Goal away to my right-hand side, facing the Holt end. Ball into Harvey Barnes. Barnes in behind Bogard. This time it's another really untidy challenge by Lamar Bogard, and Harvey Barnes hits the deck inside the penalty area, and it's every right for him to have a look at it, and no wonder there's a shout going up from the touchline again. Harvey Barnes has got in behind Bogard. He's not touched the ball, he's thrown a leg across him. Is it enough to stop him? Yeah, he's popped his leg round his legs afterwards, and I tell you what, Harvey Barnes has every right to look at the referee Chris Kavanagh and say, are you actually watching the game? Might be dissent, but he's got every right to say that as Leon Bailey tracks down Hall. Hall plays the ball back to Ramsdale. Anyway, Tammy Abrahams chested the ball down after being in an offside position with 2 other Aston Villa players, and put it into the floor and over the on-rushing Aaron Ramsdale for a goal to nil on 14 minutes. No VAR until later on in the competition. Ball curled in by Hall, looking for the run of Asula. Easy for Bezo to go into the penalty area in front of the Holt end, away to my left-hand side, and gather rather safely. There we are. Let's see what Bezo does with the ball now. Just to give you some other FA Cup scores from earlier on in the day. Back to Bogard, back to Bezo. West Ham United beat Burton by a goal to nil. They did have a player sent off after extra time. Burnley 1, Mansfield Town 2. Big shock there, as the Premier League side have been ousted. Manchester City 2, Salford 0. Norwich 3, West Bromwich Albion 1. Southampton 2, Leicester 1 in the FA Cup. Later on tonight we have Liverpool versus Brighton from Anfield. Commentary will be available. More coming your way tomorrow as well, as Douglas Luiz, midway inside the Villa half, plays it to Onana. Onana to Bailey. Bailey waits for Hall to come close, spins outside him, tries to play a crossfield ball, blocked this time by Barnes. Halfway line, Newcastle on the football. Well, back from the halfway line, 13 yards inside the Newcastle half, to the right of the halfway line to Dan Burn. Dan Burn with a ballooning ball out towards those technical areas on the far side of the pitch, where Trippier gets the ball down and plays it to Tonali. Tonali tries to find Jacob Murphy. Foot comes in by Abraham's. Going to be a throw to Newcastle. 12 yards inside the half of Aston Villa. Although they've thrown it back into their own half now and try and build it from the back again as Malik Chow goes square to Dan Burn. Dan Burn out to Lewis Hall. 6 yards inside the half of Villa. Down the line to Harvey Barnes, who tries to turn it blindly round the corner. Blocked by the legs of Lamar Blogard. And of course the man there to block it. Dan Burn is the man that done what he needed to do. 5 shots so far in the first half from Aston Villa, just 2 from Newcastle United. None on target for Newcastle, 2 on target for Aston Villa, and 2 big chances is the way that the stats read it for so far. No corner kicks in the game today. We're into the 34th minute. Crossfield ball by Tonali, looking for Trippier. Well tracked though down the side of his own penalty area. Morgan Rogers goes into the penalty area in front of the Holt end, away to my left-hand side. Short pass back to Torres. Torres to Digne, back into Morgan Rogers. Nice little triangles. Rogers up to the edge of his own 18-yard box. Back it goes to Paul Torres. Torres under pressure, clips the ball forward. Headed down by Chow, straight to the feet of Harvey Barnes. Barnes up to the edge of the box to Asula. Asula turns it on. Barnes is into the box, puts it into the side netting from an acute angle. And again, it's Newcastle United who are just trying to up the ante here. Aston Villa really played themselves into trouble there. Barnes into the feet of Asula, round the corner, wide of the goal. And it's a left-footed cross-come shot by Harvey Barnes from a narrowing angle. Just clips the outside of the post and rolls along Bezo's right-hand side netting. Away to my left-hand side, 35 on the clock. Aston Villa 1, Newcastle 0. FA Cup action. Tammy Abrahams fouls a free-flowing man in the air by the shape of Dan Burn. Tammy Abrahams to the Shaw referee, and the ref says yes, that's why I blew my whistle and gave a free kick. Ball is currently with Chow. Chow back to Burn. Burn clips it back to Aaron Ramsdale. Ramsdale 6 yards outside his penalty area, way to my right. Long flat ball up into the feet of Murphy. Murphy's gone from offside to onside. And a man on the far side with the fluttering flags walks away after putting a nice 45-degree straight arm out with his chest down to say, I've done my job right. Free kick to Aston Villa for that offside. 7 yards inside their own half. Villa defend the goal away to my left. Newcastle defend the goal away to my right. Douglas Luiz plays it infield and backwards towards Lindelof. Lindelof out to Bogard. Bogard up to the halfway line to Bailey, who steps inside of Lewis Hall again. Driving now towards the penalty area. Tries to slip the ball through for Tammy Abraham, but it was a rather woeful ball by Leon Bailey. And it's allowed to run harmlessly through to Aaron Ramsdale, who comes wide of his goal to his left. To my right, and then bowls the ball out very quickly to Chow. Chow to Trippier, Trippier to Chow, back to Trippier, and all the way back to Aaron Ramsdale. Ramsdale 2 yards outside the penalty area of Newcastle, away to my right-hand side. Short ball along the floor into the feet of Tonali, who turns and plays it into the feet of Jacob Murphy. Murphy far side to Trippier. Trippier 7 yards inside the half of Aston Villa, which is to the left of the halfway line. Plays it back to the halfway line to Tonali. Tonali goes square on the halfway line to Byrne. Byrne to Voltemada. Voltemada coming short. Plays it now back out to the right. Back Trippier. Trippier down the line to Murphy. Murphy inside to Ramsey. Back to Trippier. Aston Villa quite happy to see the ball play from one side to another. And then finally the ball down the line to Jacob Murphy, who can't control it. Throw to Aston Villa. Bided their time. They sorted things out. Unai Emery very animated on the far side of the pitch. Wants the ball given short and quick by the looks of those arm gestures. There's his own penalty area for Villa. Pau Torres back infield to Bezo. Bezo 4 yards away from his own dead ball line. Plays it to Lindelof, back to Bezo. Bezo now 7 yards away from his own goal line. Takes a touch along the floor into the feet of Morgan Rogers, who holds off Malik Chow, spins away. He's now driving forward, plays it to his right to Douglas Luiz. Luiz is going to play it out to his left this time to Luca Digne. Digne 13 yards away from the dead ball line, away to my right. Back in field, slightly diagonal back to Luiz. Luiz comes forward, he's going to have a shot. Does fire a shot in. Aaron Ramsdale's up and down, but the ball's up and over the crossbar. 38 on the clock, Aston Villa 1, Newcastle 0. Didn't take a second invitation there. And a grazing, one would say. Not sure if Aaron Ramsdale got a little fingertip to this. No, he didn't. And it's the strap that holds the box nets up that got rattled, not the grazing of the crossbar, as first thought by your commentators' eagle eyes. Eagle eyes I haven't got. My action man had it all those years ago, but not me. Aaron Ramsdale spots the ball up in the middle of his 6-yard box, away to my right. Thumps the long ball forward. Voltemada's out jumped by Onana, halfway line. Hall heads it back forward, helped on this time by Ramsey. Masula battling hard with Lindelof. Loose ball breaks to Voltemada. Voltemada wants to go right-hand side. He's done really well to hook it out to the right-hand side. Trippier. Rogers and Trippier go together. And Kieran Trippier just slid into the challenge with Rogers. Ball's gone away for a goal kick. Morgan Rogers and Kieran Trippier have a little touch. I think Kieran Trippier thinks he played it against Morgan Rogers. And I think that Kieran Trippier there has done that sort of very authoritative plea for a corner when it's fairly evident that he was never going to get the verdict. Eddie Howe and Paul Tierney sharing a few words on the touchline, but I have to say that they will feel somewhat aggrieved. And if this is how the result stays, I'm sure the VAR not being involved at a Premier League club in the early rounds of the FA Cup is something that could get thrown out by Mr. Howe should it stay this way. Tammy Abraham's goal on 14 minutes separates the two sides. Morgan Rogers tries to get the ball back to Digne. Digne blocked clearance, falls at the feet of Dan Byrne. Byrne to Voltemada, lip of the centre circle Villa side of the pitch, which is to the left of the halfway line. Back along the ground into Hall. Hall out to Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes being trapped by the right back Bogard. Into the feet of Tonali. Tonali to Byrne. Byrne to Malik Thiaw, who's just about 3 yards shy of the halfway line. Thiaw from the right back berth. Crossfield ball finds the left back Hall, who tries a little bit of skill. Tries to trap and flick it all in one thing as it drops by his feet and it goes out of play. 40 on the clock. Aston Villa 1, Newcastle 0. 5 minutes before the break. And Eddie Howe is on the sidelines with Mr. Tyndall on the far side, deep in thought. He has a bench which has got a first-time experience in, but how they will look at dealing with the goal-scoring threat, I don't know. William Asula chases down Bezo. Long ball forward, headed back to Asula. Asula out now on the far side to Murphy. Murphy with a cross in, followed away by Paul Torres inside the 6-yard box of Aston Villa, away to my left in front of the Holt end. Trippier finds Tonali. Tonali back to Murphy. Murphy level with the 18-yard box of Aston Villa, away to my left. Short ball back along the floor, slightly infield, this time to Tonali. Tonali on his right foot. Plays it out to Malik Chow. Chow comes inside, goes back to Trippier. Trippier forward. Jacob Ramsey under pressure from Abrahams. Twists and turns. Now plays it square to Nick Voldemada. Voldemada, 18 yards away from the penalty area of Aston Villa, goes square to Trippier. Trippier out down that left-hand side to Murphy. Oh, what a challenge that is by Luca Digne. That's got to be a card all day long, surely. Chris Kavanagh delaying the hand to the pocket, but Luca Digne. Hackney Marsh is there. Jacob Murphy's over. I'm not sure if there was that much contact, because I think that Jacob Murphy saw it coming. But Luca Digne, well, he was never, ever not going to get something. Whether it was the ball or the man, we don't really care. But he's... I tell you what, Luca Digne could be... Well, again, there's no VAR. He's late. He's through the standing leg. He is a fortunate boy now. I think that VAR not being here today, I would say... Oh, nasty. Just seen a replay of the scar left on the shin. By the studs. That's... well, I think that Aston Villa are benefiting from the lack of VAR today. Eddie Howe and Mr. Tyndall having a word with Paul Tierney. I think any other day of the week, if this is a Premier League game, Digne goes. It's standing leg, it's down the shin, it's on... Oh, it's a horrid challenge. It looked bad at normal speed. But Jacob Murphy will have well, he's got to cut down his shin. He doesn't need anything else to remind him of that challenge. Kieran Trippier with the free kick for Newcastle United. Chance to put a bit of pressure on the Aston Villa goal away to my left-hand side. It was a bad challenge. They've had an offside goal given against them. And a bad challenge as well. Crossed in by Trippier. Lindelof gets up there above the head of Voldemada, and it goes back towards his own goal. Bezo takes the ball to the right side of his goal and claims it safely. But I would say that there is plenty of consternation that's going to come away from Newcastle. Do you know when you feel the world's against you? Well, Newcastle will be feeling that way right now. Paul Torres, 12 yards outside his own penalty area, comes forward, plays up to the halfway line. Abraham gets in there before Byrne, plays it out near side. The left back Hall tracks Leon Bailey to this near touchline underneath the camera vantage point. Back he goes to the right back Bogard, into Louise, up to Bailey, laid off to Louise again. Louise 12 yards inside the half, slips it in behind the full back. Chance for a run for Leon Bailey, plays it against the shins of Dan Byrne. We get a first corner of the game coming into 44th minute. The home side have it. Goal away to my right hand side. Ramsdale looks out to his left hand side, and it's going to be swung in. What a time this will be to put the cat amongst the pigeons. And if you think your luck's out, if you're Newcastle fans in the lower tier of the stand that I purchased down and looked from, if this goes in, you'll be crestfallen. Interesting lineup. 3 Villa players beyond the front post and 3 Villa players beyond the back post. And now getting the signal, back in they go, drop in there. What a poor corner that is by Bailey, but it's played back to him by Barkley. Bailey puts it in again, hits the shins of Lindelof. Amadou Onana rolls it out to the edge of the box to Digne. Digne back to Douglas Luiz, who clips it over the top. Bailey looks offside. Abraham plays it in, cleared by Dan Byrne. And again, Dan Byrne is using 2 words to tell the Livestream that he thinks it was offside. I'm not telling you what those words are, but they're a mixture of letters. It's going to be another corner. O's and F's and different things. It's going to be Leon Bailey to have another corner, same side. Goal away to my right. I shouldn't laugh. It's industrial, it's agricultural. There's better words in the English vocabulary than that one, but hey, it's very easy to use. Leon Bailey is going to deliver this in. Ramsdale, goal away to my right, looks out to his left, right down by the point of my right shoulder, goes short this time. Man comes off the front post. Lovely work by Torres, plays it across the face of goal, cleared again. Can Bailey get there? Plays it against Lewis Hoare. Is it a double ricochet? It's a third corner for Aston Villa late on here. Just 1 minute to be added on. So we've had one poor corner from Leon Bailey on this near side. One short corner from Leon Bailey on this near side. And now the third corner. 45 seconds of a minimum of 1 minute to be added on. Goal scored by Tammy Abrahams. Cute little free kick over the top. Chested it down, turned it into the back of the net. Was offside though when you saw the replay. No VAR here. Luca Digne very fortunate to stay on the field of play. Bailey delivers his free kick. Oh, it's Luca Digne that delivers the corner in. Headed away by Newcastle. Bailey tries to drill it across the face of goal. Chance for a break here. 3-on-1 here. Brought down by Asula. Asula goes past Bezo. Bezo's walking. Bezo's gone as quickly as you can think. What a ridiculous bit of work by Marco Bezo. Red card straight away. A quick break. And Marco Bezo just completely flattened William Asula, and Douglas Luiz is having a word here because he doesn't think he's even been touched, but Marco Bezo with that challenge was always going, and Aston Villa are going to be down to 10. And well, I've got to say, Marco Bezo's going off. Let me just tell you where this actually happened on the field of play. It's only about at best 12 yards inside the Aston Villa half, and given away. The break was on. Jacob Murphy was going through the centre. It is no more than 10 yards inside the Aston Villa half, and Bezo's just cleaned out Jacob Murphy. It's always going to be a red card. It's a goal scoring opportunity. I don't dispute that whatsoever, that it's a goal scoring opportunity. My amazement with the incident is what Marco Bezo's doing that far up the field of play to do that. Well, only he'll know, and he'll now wander off down the tunnel. Unai Emery gives him a little pat on the hands and says, off you go to the bench. But either way, I would question, did he need to really go out that high up the field of play to do that? That's just me questioning that. And now Aston Villa will play the remainder of the game, which is going to be around about 45 minutes. Down to 10 men. Free kick this time for Newcastle United, and the ball is placed by Chris Kavanagh 6 yards inside the half of Aston Villa. Emiliano Martinez desperately, he had himself wrapped up for the winter, I tell you. He's now getting stripped off really quick because they want to get a goalkeeper on very quickly. Who will be the sacrificial lamb for Aston Villa? This will be an interesting call. As Bezo makes his way down the tunnel. Who is going to be the sacrificial lamb? And the sacrificial lamb is going to be Leon Bailey, whose afternoon ends up. He goes off and Emiliano Martinez comes on. I'm slightly perturbed that Marco Bezo needed to do that at that point on the pitch. He could have backed off, but he obviously committed. But there we go. We're into the 49th minute of the first half. We have got about 14 to 15 regulation seconds left. So I think this free kick will be taken here by Newcastle. Sandro Tonali stands over the ball, 6 yards inside the half of Aston Villa. Goal from Tammy Abrahams. Newcastle will feel at the moment as though the world's against them. Abrahams offside, really, when shown on replay for the free kick, no VAR. Tonali down this near side to Barnes. Barnes with a chance to run at Ross Barkley. Tries to go outside Ross Barkley. They come together. Referee said it's a goal kick. And half-time whistle ensues. What a first half. Newcastle to feel they haven't got the rub of the green shirts they're wearing. Abraham scoring on 14 minutes. Cute free kick by Douglas Luiz. But 3 Villa players shown offside in the replay. No VAR in today's game. And Luca Digne with a very late challenge on Jacob Murphy. Got a yellow card. Could well have seen red. Do join me for the second half. Hello and welcome back to live coverage of this FA Cup fourth round match between Aston Villa and Newcastle United, which at the break is 1-0 to Aston Villa, but that doesn't tell you half the story. It was an offside goal, no VAR in the FA Cup, and Aston Villa are down to 10 men. Just before the break, it was Marco Bizzo sent off for denying a goal-scoring chance. I'll run through the sides for you in just a moment. But as the referee starts it, Aston Villa in their claret blue shirts, white shorts and claret blue socks attack the goal away to my left, which is indeed the Holt end, and they defend the goal away to my right, and we start off with a Newcastle United corner straight away, given away by Pau Torres on this near side. And it's the same side which Newcastle had that plethora of corners at the end of the second half. So a goal away to my right-hand side. Martinez looks out to his left-hand side. Taken quickly by Hall to Tonali. Tonali back to Hall. Hall on the edge of the box of Aston Villa. Away to my right. Short ball to Barnes. Barnes with a shot deflected. And away to the left of his goal goes Emiliano Martinez to pick the ball up and save it, going away for a second corner. Let's have a look at the Villa side. Then Martinez in goal, a back four of Bogard, Vindelhoff, Torres and Digne, who was very lucky to escape getting a red card in the first half. VAR may well have sent him off. Holding midfielders Anana and Louise, and then it is Barkley and Morgan Rogers in behind Tammy Abrahams at the top. They are missing a player. Leon Bailey was sacrificed for the rather iridescent and silly challenge by Marco Bizzo, caught in no man's land, as we all thought. Newcastle with their green shirts, white shorts and green socks, looking very much like Northern Ireland playing here. Play the ball down this near line, and it's Murphy flagged for offside on this near side. In goal for them, Ramsdale, a back four from left to right for Hall, Byrne, Chow and Trippier. Ramsey, Tonali and Murphy, Barnes, Voltemada and Asula is the Newcastle side at the moment. Newcastle fans will be a little bit disappointed, as they've possibly now found out that the goal was offside. There were three Aston Villa players offside when that cheeky free kick by Douglas Luiz. Well disguised, it has to be said, but it doesn't stop the fact that it was an offside goal, and any other day between two Premier League sides, VAR would have stepped in. They would have stepped in several times in the first half, but they didn't. And here we go. Newcastle trail by a goal to nil. We're into the 48th minute. Near side Trippier tries to slip the ball in behind the left back Luca Digne, who plays it against the legs of Trippier. It's going to be a throw to Aston Villa. Pretty much level with their own 18-yard box, away to the right-hand side. Villa defend the goal away to my right and attack the goal away to my left. And just for anybody that would like to know, the Holt end is away to my left-hand side. I see pictures very much as you'll see televisual pictures. Digne throws it down the line, gets it back, plays it forward, blocked by Ramsey, the former Villa player, and out of play on this near side for a throw which Luca Digne will take. He'll throw it towards the halfway line. Headed away before Rogers can get there by Dan Byrne, and Aston Villa will have a throw on the near side underneath the camera vantage point. Emery a little bit late out of the tunnel. And Digne throws it back into his own half and finds Pau Torres 18 yards inside the Villa half, which is to the right of the halfway line. Turns it back to Martinez, on in goal for the red-carded Bizzo. And he thumps a long ball forward. Rogers is the target. Target brings it down, but Lewis Hall picks up the second ball. Driving down that far touchline, runs into Bogard, who tries to block it, gets a little kick on the ankle. Ball goes out of play on the far side, and it's going to be a throw to Aston Villa, which will right back. Lamar Bogard will be taken. Thrown in, headed away by Chow. Voltemada tries to scoop it up to the halfway line. And at the moment, Aston Villa, with Morgan Rogers, tries to twist one way and then the other way, and Tonali goes into a challenge. Rogers goes down claiming foul, but it's a throw to Newcastle United, far side of the pitch. Left back Hall throws it back to Byrne. Byrne back to Ramsdale. Ramsdale to Chow, and Chow to Trippier. Trippier 6 yards, 12 yards into the half of Aston Villa, but the ball is not into the corner for Asula. It's picked off rather easily by Pau Torres. Ball goes into the feet of Douglas Luiz. Couple of hands on the back on this near side from Jacob Murphy, and down he goes like a crumpled heap onto the floor. 50 on the clock. Aston Villa 1 and Newcastle 0. Newcastle with 11 men, Aston Villa with 10 men. Sending off late on. Instant pack first half. Goal by Tammy Abraham on 14 minutes. A disguised free kick from Douglas Luiz. Chested down by Tammy Abraham with his back to the Newcastle goal. Turned it, popped it into the turf, and it bounced over the on-rushing Aaron Ramsdale on 14 minutes. Only for latterly people to see it on a replay to realise there was 2 or 3 Aston Villa players offside, but no VAR. The goal stood. Luca Digne then dived into a challenge and got a yellow card on Jacob Murphy when he could quite easily have got a red card if VAR was in operation. Before late on in the game, the ball's whipped into the Aston Villa penalty area, where to my right, taken by Emiliano Martinez from a Murphy cross. Late on in the first half, a break by Newcastle United saw Jacob Murphy into the half of Aston Villa, and Marco Bizzo, some 6 yards inside his own half, cleaned out Jacob Murphy and got a straight red card for foul play or denied a goal scoring chance. Either way, he's straight off, and that meant the change for Aston Villa just before the break with Martinez coming on. Leon Bailey was taken off, so it's 10 men Villa against 11 man Newcastle, and it's Aston Villa 1, Newcastle 0 in the 52nd minute here at Villa Park. Fourth round of the FA Cup. Chow to Byrne, Byrne to Hall, Hall 12 yards inside the Villa half. Out on that far side to Harvey Barnes, who's going to cut in from the left. He waits the overlapping run from Hall. Hall down by the dead ball line, curls the ball into the box, headed away by Luca Digne. Tonali heads it back to Barnes. Barnes does well to get it down and away from Tammy Abrahams, then runs into Lamar Bogard, and this time Harvey Barnes is going to get a yellow card for simulation. Went over far too easy. Goes down and gets a yellow card for simulation. I'd have had a few of those in my years. Don't ask. But it is going to be a free kick on the far side of the pitch. We had some yellow cards in the first half. Luca Digne got one for Aston Villa. Harvey Barnes has just got one. Douglas Luiz has got one for Aston Villa. And Harvey Barnes and Malik Chow, the 2 on yellow cards for Newcastle United. Let's just talk to you about the benches for the 2 sides so that you have a full and rounded picture of it. Buendia, Garcia, Kone, Konza, Martson, Martinez, who's on, Mings, Sancho and Watkins on the bench for Aston Villa. Sounds quite strong. And for Newcastle United, they have Alanga, Gordon, Murphy, Neve, Park Seung-so, and Pope, Ruddy. Their 2 goalkeeping covers, Shahar and Willock. Ball goes out of play on the far side of the pitch. It's going to be a throw this time for Newcastle. Taken quickly. Tonali, Hall, Byrne, Ramsdale inside the D of his own penalty area, way to my left-hand side. Plays it out this side to the right back, Trippier. Trippier wanted to send it down the line. Now sends it down the line to Murphy. Murphy held up by old kicker Digne. And that's my new nickname for him. Back it goes to Chow. Chow to Byrne. Byrne out on the far side to Hall. Lewis Hall. Great place and a great venue if you want to have a wedding. Far side of the pitch it goes from Lewis Hall to Harvey Barnes. Barnes can't get through his full back. Ross Barkley's back there. In it goes to Voltemata. Voltemata stepped across by Morgan Rogers. Voltemata gets it back. Morgan Rogers tries to dispossess him. Good work by Voltemata. 12 yards inside the Aston Villa half to the right of the halfway line. Short pass to Tonali. Tonali clips it over the head of Digne, looking for the run on this near side of Kieran Trippier, who's ends his run with a little bit of a staccato run. It looked as though there could have been a little query with the hamstring injury. Newcastle United have a couple of substitutes on the far side of the pitch, and we understand that one of them may be coming on very shortly, but he's a long way from being readied, and that would be Anthony Gordon. Emiliano Martinez, goal away to my right, spots the ball up on the left side of his 6-yard box. Picture that in your mind's eyes. I glance down, Holt end away to my left. Technical areas away to my far side of the pitch, straddling the halfway line, and just to the right of the halfway line is the tunnel which the players access and exit the field of play. Good work near side by Jacob Ramsey. Crossfield ball finds Hall. Hall down the line to Barnes. Barnes 12 yards outside the Villa penalty area. Drives inside onto his right foot. Lays it back to Tonali. Tonali back to Chow. Chow into the feet of Murphy. Little layoff this time to Jacob Ramsey, who tried to take the ball through. It's gone away for a goal kick, and Jacob Ramsey and the official, we can see this clearly in our replay monitor. It's a great ball by Murphy. It looks as though it's come off the toes of Douglas Luiz. He thought it should have been a corner, but you know, Jacob Ramsey thinks he should have a corner. I think possibly quite rightly so, but you can't talk to officials like that. If that's not dissent, it's just pure abuse of the. He's got a yellow card for his protestations. There's Jacob Ramsey, third Newcastle man in the book, laid out by Douglas Luiz. Tammy Abrahams and Dan Byrne shoulder to shoulder in front of the Holt end, away to my left-hand side. Byrne clears it away, stops it going for a corner. 56 on the clock. Aston Villa 1, Newcastle 0. Tammy Abrahams' goal on 14, separating the two sides. Although Edward Howe and Mr. Tyndall will look at the absence of VAR. It's been pivotal so far. It's thrown down the line by Bogard. Great work by Rogers. Spins away from Hall. Runs into Byrne. Hacked away by Voltemara. Down by his own dead ball line. Away to my left-hand side. Pau Torres works hard with Barnes. Headed by Lindelof to Onana. Onana back to Torres. Torres hooks it all the way back to Martinez. Away to my right-hand side. Under pressure very quickly from Harvey Barnes. Plays it to Lindelof, who steps away from Asula this time. Plays it back to Martinez. Martinez square to Torres. Torres lifts it down this near touchline and out of play, which I think is right. Couldn't do a great deal with it. Newcastle fans in the stand from which the camera peers down from, and myself, very happy. Jacob Murphy's ball at Sandro Tonali is at best poor and at worst awful. But the ball has gone away for a goal kick to Aston Villa, away to my right-hand side. Well, it's turning into somewhat of a struggle here for Newcastle United. Their season has been punctuated. They are trying to get themselves back in the swing of things. A little lower down in the league than they would like. Still plenty of time to deal with that. Dan Byrne is pointing to Morgan Rogers, who's left in a heap inside the centre circle, but the referee says, Chris Kavanagh, our referee says nothing doing. Jacob Murphy, 12 yards outside the penalty area of Villa. Dispossessed by Tammy Abraham. Short pass to Onana. Onana still driving forward. Still on the floor is Morgan Rogers. Onana pulls it near side. He's tracked by Malik Chiao. He's trying to run outside the Brazilian. Chiao tries to hold him up. He's in front of the Holt end, 6 yards, and Jacob Murphy touches him. And Amadou Onana has just crumpled in a massive heap there. And Jacob Murphy turns around and says, you know, please, please. Morgan Rogers is back up. And awkward fall for Jacob Ramsey. Not Jacob Ramsey, for Morgan Rogers. Onto his left elbow, which jarred his left shoulder, but he's picked himself up. 59th minute of the game. Aston Villa 1, Newcastle 0. Free kick. Douglas Luiz stands over it. Goal away to my left-hand side in front of the Holt end. Aaron Ramsdale looks out to his right-hand side. So it's right down by the point of my left shoulder. Douglas Luiz walks away, and the left foot of Luca Digne is going to curl it in towards that goal away in front of the Holt end, and then away from goal with the natural instep of the left footer. Onana is in there. Lindelof is in there. Here comes the free kick, curled deep in there. Onana gets a header on it, but almost away. Lindelof gets his body across his man. Pau Torres takes over, looks for Ross Barkley. Barkley, tracked by Ramsey, pirouettes away onto his right boot and slips the ball back now to Lindelof. Lindelof is being chased by Asula, rolls it all the way back to Martinez. Martinez midway inside his own half, touch to his left foot, and then thumps it all the way through to Aaron Ramsdale, and the goal away to my left-hand side. Bowled out very quickly from the right side of his penalty area to the left back. Hall now 18 yards inside the half of Villa, tries to slip it inside the full back Lamar Bogard. Cut out by Bogard, not cleared by Barkley. Tonali picks the pieces up and finds Hall, back to Tonali. Tonali to his right, this time finds Jacob Ramsey. Ramsey further right to Kieran Trippier. Trippier wants some movement. The only movement he's got is Tonali. Tonali tries to play it between Murphy and Trippier and bisects a pair of them and puts it straight out of play. It looks rather uncomfortable there from Sandro Tonali. Both players stood there. He bisected them. They both went different directions. Throw to Aston Villa, level with their own 18-yard box away to my right. 60 on the clock. Aston Villa 1, Newcastle 0. Aston Villa down to 10. Bezo sent off for something. Denying a goal-scoring opportunity. Dangerous play on Jacob Murphy at the end of the first half. Murphy wins the ball back from Abraham. Gives it to Trippier. Trippier to Chow. Chow square. 4 yards inside the Aston Villa half. To the right of the halfway line. To the left back. Hall. Hall further out to Barnes. Barnes comes inside of Bogard. Up to the feet of Voltemata. Nice take by Voltemata. Good tackle coming by Onana. Good work again. Near side. Trippier's going to put it in. Hits the back of Luca Digne. And, excuse me. Luca Digne had his hands up there screaming for a penalty again here. He's inside the penalty area. Referee Chris Kavanagh has given the free kick outside the penalty area. Oh my word. Over to the tablet on the bench goes the Newcastle backroom staff. Luca Digne being at the centre of a bit of controversy. Oh my word. He's a yard and a half inside the penalty area. Chris Kavanagh, arms above his head. My word. Eddie Howe, VAR, not being here. That's 3 verdicts that would have went their way with VAR. That was Digne's red card, possibly. Offside for the goal. And now a penalty. Digne being involved with the penalty shout. Free kick given outside the box by Chris Kavanagh, our referee. Well, if you don't think the world's against you, it certainly would feel like it right now if you're a Newcastle fan. Right by the corner, the apex of the penalty area of Aston Villa, away to my right. Martinez looks out to his left. Out to the corner of the side of his penalty area and the top of his penalty area. We're into the 63rd minute of the game. It's going to be the right foot of Trippier to deliver this ball in. Curls it in. Martinez palms it away. Barnes gets it down. Tonali fires a shot. Goal. It's deflected this time. Tonali gets the equaliser on 63, and if ever a side needed a slice of luck, Tonali's deflected goal has brought Newcastle level on 63, and they are a man, remember, up on Aston Villa. I think the man that blocked it was Douglas Luiz. Just got a deflection and wrong-footed Emiliano Martinez. It came out to Tonali, who thrashed it in from some 18 yards. Laid off, deflected off of Douglas Luiz. Martinez is going away to his left-hand side, and the ball goes into the right-hand corner. Nothing Emiliano Martinez can do. Nothing really that Douglas Luiz can do. Everything under the sun that Sandro Tonali can cheer. It is now 1 apiece on 63. Well, they've had no luck in this game, I will say, Newcastle United, in terms of refereeing decisions or what they would normally get in an all-Premier League clash, where they got a slice of luck there off the derriere, the backside, the cheeks of the bottom of Douglas Luiz. Unai Emery's going to make a couple of changes very shortly, but one change has been made by Newcastle United. Anthony Gordon has come onto the field of play. And I believe he has replaced William Asula at the top of the park. So we'll have just get confirmation on that in just a moment. Yeah, Asula off, Gordon on, and Jacob Murphy off, and Anthony Elanga on. So a couple of big changes there. Real pace from Elanga as well that will come down this near side. And so Asula off. And Anthony Elanga on. And Anthony Gordon on. And Jacob Murphy off. 2 Anthonys on. So Changes afoot now. Looks like Aston Villa are going to make a change, and it's Tammy Abrahams who will be replaced by Ollie Watkins. Free kick. We'll start the game in just a moment. Goal scorer goes off to be replaced by Ollie Watkins. Another change also for Aston Villa will be Emiliano Buendia, who's going to come on and replace Ross Barkley. Remember, Aston Villa from the back end of the first half have been down to 10 men, 65 on the clock. Unai Emery possibly using players he didn't want to use tonight, but it's a squad game. Paul Torres with his free kick, just on the lip of the centre circle, Villa side of the pitch. He plays it square, finds Lindelof. Lindelof back to Paul Torres. Torres faced by Elanga, clips a long ball forward. Digne gets it down. Can he get inside of Trippier? No, Trippier down the side of his own penalty area, clears the ball. It's going to be a throw on this near side. Luca Digne is going to take the throw. Trippier ends up getting the ball, retrieving the ball, giving it to Luca Digne, who tries it in the shirt. It's about 6 yards away from the corner flag, defended by the right back, Kieran Trippier for Newcastle United. Goal in front of the Holt, thrown into the box. Easy header away this time by Jacob Ramsey. Headed back in by Buendia, headed on by Douglas Luiz, and then cleared by Malik Thiaw. Throw level the 18-yard box of Newcastle United away to my left. Digne will take again, the left back. Newcastle defend the goal away to my left and attack the goal away to my right. Aston Villa do it the other way round, which is really good. Thrown by Digne to Rogers, back to Digne. Digne with a cross, just takes the deflection off a Trippier. Elanga tries to battle away. Buendia goes down holding his face, flicked forward by Douglas Luiz. Buendia still trying to put his nose back on the front of his face, and it runs harmlessly through to Aaron Ramsdale, who, like a cricketer, bowls it out over arm on the far side to Hall. Hall over the halfway line, 12 yards, 15 yards. Down the line he goes to Harvey Barnes. Barnes comes inside, tracked by Bogard. Turns it round the corner and finds Tonali. Tonali's ball to Hall is given away. Buendia loses out to Tonali. Voltemata with a flick back to Tonali. Through it goes, blocked by Lindelof. Hacked away by Pau Torres. It's going to be a throw. All of a sudden, this game is more than a little lively. Throw to Newcastle United. Lewis Hall, 6 yards away from the corner flag, defended on the far side of the pitch by Lamar Bogard, the right back for Aston Villa. Lewis Hall drives the ball in his shirt. He'll look to launch this into the front post. Dan Burns there, Malik Thiaw's there, Nick Voltemata's there. Here comes the throw. Headed up and into the box there by Thiaw. Voltemata gets a bit on it. Buendia hacks it away. Played short this time by Trippier into the body of Watkins. Watkins goes for the ball. Trippier goes down. Chris Kavanagh says too strong at all by Oliver Watkins, who turns around and says please. He fell over. Wasn't quite what he said, but I just paraphrasing. Trippier was struggling and he went down. Good work by Elanga. Finds Peter Ramsey inside the penalty area. Played back to goal by Luiz. Back it comes to Gordon. Gordon fires a shot in, takes a deflection, goes wide of Martinez's right post, away to my right-hand side. And once again, it is just becoming a little bit of a struggle for 10-man Aston Villa at the moment. Lindelof with a final touch. Corner to Newcastle United. Goal away to my right. Kieran Trippier on the far side of the pitch. Martinez looks out to his right. Furthest corner away. Martinez in the goal away to my right-hand side. Newcastle fans renewed that the world isn't against them. Trippier's going to hook this under the crossbar. Away to my right-hand side. Oh, and down in the heat. Pau Torres goes down under something from Dan Burn. He looks totally bemused by the fact that Pau Torres is on the floor. Oh, it's just a handoff, but he's caught him on the base of the neck. I don't think it's really that finished. Pau Torres is saying, are you watching to Chris Kavanagh? Dan Burn saying, I don't actually know what you're complaining at here, but yeah, they have a few words. They look eye to eye. Here we go again, 70th minute of the game. Torres and Byrne have a cuddle off just inside the Aston Villa penalty area, away to my right-hand side. Oh, it's interesting to watch these grown men push and shove. Byrne tries to get away. This time Dan Byrne's hauled down. Heads off the head of Lindelof, goes the other way. Dan Byrne's gone over now to have a word with Chris Kavanagh to say exactly what part of him putting his arm around my neck and me falling over does not constitute a penalty. Lindelof was the man that glanced it away. Near side, Kieran Trippier comes this near side. Goal away to my right-hand side. Martinez looks out to his left. Right down by the point of my right shoulder. Now it's Unai Emery and Paul Tierney that are having words. 71st minute of the game. Still one apiece here. Here comes a corner from Trippier. Headed away this time by Lindelof. Edge of the box. Tonali gets it down. Plays it out to Barnes. Barnes faced by the right back Bogard. Plays it back to Tonali. Tonali clips it in. Chance here for Dan Byrne, who thought there was somebody behind him and left it, and it's run away for a goal kick harmlessly for Aston Villa away to my right-hand side. Let me paint a picture for you. 71st minute of the game. Aston Villa 1, Newcastle 1. Tammy Abrahams with a goal from a cute Douglas Luiz free kick. Turned it into the back of the net on 14 minutes to give Villa the lead. If VAR was in operation, you can bet your bottom dollar it would have been given as offside. At least three Aston Villa players offside. But it stood. No VAR in the FA Cup early doors. Then we had the Aston Villa captain Luca Digne with a very long late challenge on the shins of Jacob Murphy. Got a yellow card, but if VAR was in operation, would have been a red card, you feel. Would have been overturned, dangerous and reckless. Then we had the next telling moment of the game. Break by Newcastle right on the stroke of half-time into stoppage time, and Marco Bizzo scythed down Jacob Murphy just 6 yards inside the Aston Villa half and got a straight red card. Villa down to 10. And then we had, in the second half, Luca Digne handling the ball, or looked like he would have handled the ball inside the penalty area. Ball goes into the Aston Villa box, headed away by Onana. Buendia gets it down, stabs it to Watkins. Watkins can't get it back to Buendia. Trippier tidies up and plays it back to Dan Byrne on the halfway line. Yeah, crossed in by Trippier, blocked by the arm of Luca Digne. Free kick given outside the penalty area when, if you looked at it on VAR, he's about 2.5 feet, maybe 3 feet inside the penalty area. Chris Kavanagh gave the free kick. Shortly after that, though, a deflected goal off the derriere. Tonali's shot went into the back of the net off the backside of Douglas Luiz to make it one apiece. That's where we are now. Newcastle coming forward. Elanga inside the Aston Villa penalty area, tries to get past Buendia. Digne plays it to Torres. Torres inside his own penalty area, hacks the ball out near side, midway inside the Aston Villa half, which is to the right of the halfway line. It's going to be a throw, which Kieran Trippier will take into Tonali. Tonali's ball back allows Ollie Watkins to get something in. Ollie Watkins flailing fingernails have just caught Tonali on the nose, but Newcastle have the ball at their feet. Lip of the centre circle, Villa side. Byrne to Hall. Hall out to Barnes. Barnes level the 18-yard box of Aston Villa. Crosses the ball in. Comes right across. Digne comes in. So does Kieran Trippier, who's given it the office. And when I mean the office, he's given it every bit of power he had in his whole body. Every sinew behind the ball. And he's almost put it in the top tier of the stand away to my right-hand side. Aston Villa just at the moment, as you'd expect with only 10 men against 11, just starting to be sort of clinging on here. But they might have to do another half an hour at the end of this game. Emiliano Martinez, Villa goalkeeper, spots the ball up on the right side of his 6-yard box and the goal away to my right. Thumps it right-footed. Right over the halfway line. Got a lot of rights in there. Headed on this time by Watkins. Rogers can't take it. Lewis Hall comes forward. Dancing feet. Goes away from 2 or 3 there. It's done really well up and over the halfway line. Slips it in this time. Elanga tries to run in behind Lindelof. Slips on the turf. Lindelof's got a chance to play it back to Martinez, and Martinez plays it out to the left-hand side of his penalty area to Digne. Digne back to Torres. Torres with 3 around him. Hooks it down this near touchline and out of play. Throw to Newcastle, 6 or 7 yards inside the Aston Villa half, which is to the right of the halfway line. Elanga was in behind, but he was carrying too much speed. And like a speed gator at the Milano Cortina Winter Olympics at the moment on the bend, just lost his footing. Good work by Barnes now. Barnes to Voltemata. Voltemata inside to Tonali. Tonali 15 yards outside the Villa penalty area, clips it in, headed away by Luca Digne. Elanga will get onto the loose ball, 12 yards from the dead ball line of Aston Villa, away to my right. Plays it back into the feet this time of Ramsey to Trippier, back to Elanga. Elanga with a cross into the box, cleared by the front post of Martinez's goal by Pau Torres. Another corner to Newcastle United. Going to be a change in a minute. Jadon Sancho and Ian Maatsen being readied. Kieran Trippier will take it. Corner away to my right-hand side. Martinez looks out to his left, right down by the point of my right shoulder as I straddle the halfway line. Holt end away to my left. Technical errors on the far side. Trippier delivers. 76-minute glancing header coming in there. And I have to say, Anthony Gordon played it out the far side. Burn to Tonali. Tonali clips it back into the box. Headed away by Torres. Douglas Luiz gets onto the loose ball, but his first touch is very, very heavy. Throw midway inside the Aston Villa half to Newcastle United. Was it Harvey Barnes or Anthony Gordon? It's actually Harvey Barnes. It grazed across the face of his goal. Near side, Trippier, 30 yards from the dead ball line of Aston Villa, away to my right. Short pass to Elanga. Elanga advances towards the corner of the penalty area. Give and go with Jacob Ramsey. Luca Digne clears the ball away near side, but only as far as Trippier. Trippier crosses the ball in. Back post, Bogard heads the ball away. Burn gets it to Tonali. Tonali rifles a shot. Goalwards, what a goal by Sandro Tonali. No need for a deflection this time. Tonali with his second absolutely rifled it in into Martinez's bottom right-hand corner. What a strike by Sandro Tonali. Breathtaking. Burns squared it to him, and Tonali's given it a right foot pinger. Villa down to 10. Villa trailing by 2-1. 77 minutes. And Sandro Tonali really has thumped that in. It's a good cross in. Header away this time by Bogard. Burn to his right. Tonali, 24 yards out, has absolutely fizzed it. He has really pinged that beautifully with his right boot on the diagonal across the face of Martinez, and it nestled inside the bottom corner via the inside of his right side netting. It's a lovely strike by the Italian. Really stalls in midair, and Newcastle from a goal down and all the luck going against them are now 2-1 up. They've got 11 men, and they still cling on to the very hope that they might be going into the FA Cup 5th round for a long period of this game, though, as Tonali cuddles Eddie Howe. They have had the rub of the green not go with them. Ian Maatsen comes on. Jadon Sancho comes on. I'll tell you who those two are for. It's just having a little look there. It looks like the same back four for Aston Villa. Digne is still there. Pau Torres gets the ball to Luca Digne, near side of the pitch. Aston Villa very much a rear guard action now. Maatsen's playing up on the left-hand side, more in midfield. And Sancho's there as well. Voltemata ties the ball up, edge of the box. Lewis Hall clips it into the Villa penalty area, headed away this time by Pau Torres. Another corner to Newcastle United. 79th minute of the game. And Villa have got to find something from somewhere, because at the moment it is one-way traffic. Willock is about to come on for Newcastle United as well. Maatsen is definitely on, and he is playing down the left-hand side. Onana comes forward with the ball up to Buendia. Buendia back to Torres. Torres first time ball up to the halfway line to Sancho. Sancho flicks it on over the head of the right back. This time Maatsen won't get that. Through to Aaron Ramsdale in front of the Holt end away to my left. Bowls it out over arm to the left winger, stroke right winger I should say, Anthony Elanga, who's trying to take on Digne. Runs inside Digne. Digne's got his body across the ball, plays it out near side. Elanga with pace to Burn, and Luca Digne sat on the yellow card. Changes being made, and it is Jacob Ramsey coming off to be replaced by Willock. Former Arsenal man, replacing the former Aston Villa man for Newcastle. Newcastle fans cheering Jacob Ramsey. What a game we're having here. 80th minute of the game. Where are Aston Villa's thoughts on the FA Cup for this year? Jacob Ramsey applauding the Aston Villa goal. Fans behind the goal. Lifted away by Pau Torres from the penalty area of Villa, away to my right. Buendia to Watkins. Watkins to Maatsen. Maatsen tries to find Sancho. Trying to work out exactly who's got off. I think Morgan Rogers may well have moved off the field of play. Maybe trying to protect him. And Maatsen has come on in the middle of the park, and I trying to see exactly who he's come on for here. I think it's Douglas Luiz that has got off Maatsen. And Morgan Rogers has gone off to be replaced by Sancho. But it's one-way traffic, really. Newcastle with their man advantage. Alanga into the feet of Willock. Willock stabs the ball back, doesn't find Voldemar, but finds Hall. 81st minute now. Voldemar down the line to Barnes. Barnes level the 18-yard box of Villa, away to my right. Sets the ball back along the floor into the feet of Hall. Hall finds Willock. Willock square to Chow. Chow has to step away from Maatsen, which he does really well. 12 yards outside the penalty area of Villa. Short pass to Gordon. Gordon to Trippier. Back to Gordon. Newcastle now will play keep ball and try and stretch the 10 men of Aston Villa. Burn to Hall. Hall to Willock. Back inside to Voldemar and back to Burn. Burn to Hall. Hall forward to Willock. Willock little layoff far side of the pitch. And the line this time, Alanga plays it. Willock tries to go in behind. Buendia clears his lines. Game's not dead, but Aston Villa find it very difficult to get up the other end of the field of play at the moment. They've made several changes, but Newcastle are enjoying pretty much most of the momentum. Lewis Hall with a throw on the far side of the pitch this time. What does Unai Emery think? Is this a blessing in disguise, fighting on Europe and at the top of the Premier League? Or is this something he wanted to maintain to keep the momentum going? Hall with the throw in. Burn brings it down. Buendia takes a toe off. Barnes fires a shot in, blocked by Onana. Ball balloons out to Ollie Watkins. Watkins dead centre of his own half. Plays it to left back Digne. Digne back to Pau Torres. Torres 6 yards outside the Villa penalty area, way to my right hand side. Short ball to the right side of centre half. Lindelof and Buendia exchange passes. Back it goes now to Torres. Torres 12 yards shy of the halfway line. Dead centre. Plays it near side to the left back Luca Digne. Digne infield to Jadon Sancho. Sancho to Amadou Onana. Back to Sancho. 12 yards inside. Short ball through the hole to Maatsen. Maatsen out to Luca Digne. Digne, left foot ball into the box. No, plays it out to this left touchline to Maatsen. Maatsen goes infield. Rolls it back to the feet of Jadon Sancho, who's faced by Alanga. Goes inside on his right boot. Good shot goes in from Sancho, cleared by Malik Chow. Goes up and over the crossbar in front of the hold end for a corner to Aston Villa. First corner for Villa in this second half. Newcastle under pressure for the first time in this second period. Goal away to my left-hand side. Holt End looks down. They're trailing by a man. They're trailing by a goal. They were leading by a goal. Ramsdale looks out to his right down by the point of my left shoulder. Consternation inside the Newcastle penalty area now. Luca Digne will curl this left foot away from goal. Does so. Flicked onto the front post by Pau Torres. Headed away by Malik Chow. Alanga toes it away. Bogard tries to play it back towards the penalty area of Newcastle. Hooked on by Maatsen. Villa this time enjoying a little spell on the ball. Sancho, 12, 18, 24 yards inside the half of Newcastle. Being accosted by Gordon. And Voltemata plays it back to Martsen. Martsen will play it back to the left back. Luca Digne, 24 yards from the dead ball line. Away to my left-hand side. Digne to Buendia, back to Digne. In it goes, brought down by Watkins. First touch a little heavy, comes out from the toe of Chow to Sancho. Sancho back to Luca Digne. Luca Digne slips it in. Good run by Buendia. Dead ball line, tries to play it across, blocked by Tonali. Corner to Aston Villa. Oh, the pendulum swings again in the FA Cup. Cracking game here. Aston Villa have suddenly found a little bit of pep and spark. Ramsdale, goal order by left in front of the Holt end. Will look out to his right. Right down by the point of my left shoulder. Luca Digne with the corner. Both sides have had 5 corners in this game. Newcastle all 5 in the second half. Aston Villa 2 in quick succession. Curled away from goal again. Watkins can't get there. What a crossfield clearance by Kieran Trippier. He looked up the field and played towards the opposite end away to my right. But he's gone right off the instep of his boot, away for a corner on the opposite side for Aston Villa. Don't know how he's done that, but he's done it rather well. 86 minutes on the clock. Ramsdale will look out to his left-hand side in the goal away to my left. Digne goes far side of the pitch. Sancho's in close proximity. Digne goes short to Jadon Sancho. Sancho cuts back. Can he get to the dead ball line? He's danced into the penalty area, plays it back to Luca Digne, edge of the box, clips a deep ball in across the face of goal. Byrne heads the ball away. Lindelof gets it back to Martsen. Martsen back to Victor Lindelof. Lindelof left foot ball into the box. Penalty area. Digne tries to lay it to Ollie Watkins, but it's too long, too strong. Goes away for a goal kick. Away to my left-hand side for Newcastle United. 87th minute we move into. Newcastle 2, Aston Villa 1. In what has been a really, really topsy-turvy FA Cup match. And one which has had an awful lot of talking points, and one that I'm going to need at least 6 minutes of time added on at the end to talk about all of those talking points to get you through and give you the full picture. Onana beats Voltemata in the air. Barnes hooks it on. Gordon's trying to run in behind Lindelof, who turns it all the way back to Martinez. Martinez inside the penalty area of Villa, away to my right, knocks a long ball up, flicked on by Watkins. Burns heads the ball away from Martsen. Trippier plays it all the way back to Ramsdale. Pretty much a spectator in the second half, although his first touch there is almost closed down by Martsen. Gets it out to Trippier. Trippier down the line to Elanga. Elanga's bustled off the ball. Buendia takes a throw quickly. Watkins has to keep it in play right in front of the Holt end, away to my left-hand side. Back to Digne. Digne tries to get his ball in, blocked by Willock. Elanga will carry the ball away as it's clear from the Newcastle penalty area, away to my left-hand side. Elanga up and over the halfway line. He's got options to his left, one being Harvey Barnes. His first touch is a bit heavy. He's forced wide. He's down by the dead ball line inside the Villa penalty area. Dispossessed, though, by Lamar Bogard. Lindelof, Watkins, Lamar Bogard. And a loose ball there by Lamar Bogard, and a chance for Willock. Ball goes goalwards, and it's turned in by Nick Voltemata on 88 minutes to end the tie, really. A loose touch there by Aston Villa. They gave the ball away inside their own 18-yard box. Lamar Bogard gave it away. And in the end, it was turned from the edge of the Aston Villa penalty area towards the goal. Voltemata, right place, right time, put it into the top corner of the net. And Aston Villa, architects of their own downfall here. They were playing football inside their own penalty area. Lamar Bogard tried to find Onana, but he played it straight to the feet this time of Willock, who turned it goalwards, and sliding in, Pau Torres could only get a foot close to Nick Voltemata, who just lifted it into the top of the net. And the Newcastle signing, I think it was played against him and into the back of the net. Willock with a nice touch. Buendia actually with the assist. And ultimately it was Pau Torres had back-heeled onto the foot of Nick Voltemata, but it won't matter for those Newcastle United fans in the stand by the side of me, as Aston Villa really have in several ways tonight shot themselves in the foot. Don't take anything away from the performance by Newcastle United. They have been up against an awful lot of bad luck in this game. But as we move into the 90th minute, Kieran Trippier goes off. He has been replaced. And it is going to take me a while to decipher the whole story of this game for you in time added on, but we're moving into the final minute. Murphy comes on for Trippier. Lovely skill there by Jadon Sancho to get away from Voldemar on the halfway line. He finds Buendia. Buendia midway inside the Newcastle half, slips the ball out to Bogard, whose mistake just cost the goal. Plays it into the feet this time with Watkins. Watkins finds Sancho. Sancho down in front of the Holt end away to my left-hand side. Back it goes to Bogard. Now Sancho cuts inside. Steps across one, steps across two, tries to slip it in for Buendia, and he bounces off the hip of Dan Burn, and Dan Burn, big double fist pump over the dead ball line away to Mike. Left hand side in front of the Holt end, saying yes, we're fighting for this all the way through. The Newcastle fans that have travelled down from the northeast inside Villa Park are as happy as Larry. I never met Larry, but I'm told he's really quite happy. Right, we've got 4 minutes to add on. Let's talk about it. First goal came on 14 minutes. A cleverly disguised free kick by Douglas Luiz. Clipped over the top. Tammy Abrahams in behind the Newcastle defence. Chested it down. Back to goal. Turned it into the ground and passed Ramsdale for 1-0. Only afterwards do we see 3 Aston Villa players from that free kick offside. No VAR. So Eddie Howe would have been feeling a little hard done by. Then we had a little incident with Luca Digne, who dived into a challenge, a reckless challenge on Jacob Murphy. Got a yellow card, but I think if VAR was in attendance, Luca Digne would have got a straight red card. It would have been overturned. It was a very late and naughty challenge on the standing leg of Jacob Murphy. But then came the last moments of the first half. Marco Bizzo sent off for denying a goal-scoring opportunity on Jacob Murphy. 6 yards. Murphy was into the half of Aston Villa on a break, and Bizzo's absolutely miles out, just cleans him out, got sent off. Martinez on Villa down to 10. Second half, 63rd minute, Sandro Tonali's deflected shot went into the back of the net of Douglas Luiz to make it 2-1, to make it 1-1. Newcastle getting back into it. That was after Luca Digne just moments before could have gone off or given away a penalty. Free kick given outside the penalty area for his arm above his head when he was clearly inside the penalty area. Tonali then finished another one from 24 yards on 76. Just 30 minutes later, drilled it in. Layoff by Dan Burn. And then on 88 minutes, a Lamar Bogard pass to the edge of the box in Aston Villa's own penalty area, misplaced. Willock turned it goalwards. Voltemada came in. Pau Torres played it against the legs of Voltemada into the back of the net for 3-1. We are into the 3rd minute of a minimum of 4 to be played here at Villa Park. Aston Villa 1, Newcastle 3. That is the story of the game. Newcastle come forward with Murphy, not Jacob Murphy, but A. Murphy. Gordon, Voltemada. Back out to the fullback Murphy. Lewis Hall has come to right back for the time being. Voltemada. Back to Gordon. To Voltemada. To Gordon. Inside to Willock. Willock to Gordon. Newcastle now just playing keep ball. Gordon back to Willock. Willock 3 yards inside the half of Villa, which is to the right of the halfway line. Square to Malik Thiaw. Thiaw out to the new right back Hall. Back to Malik Thiaw. Thiaw bypasses Willock and finds Dan Burn 12 yards inside the Newcastle half. Referee Chris Cavanis had a busy day. Voltemada under pressure from Emiliano Buendia, who's tugging at his shirt. Free kick is given. We're into the 94th minute, a minimum of 4 to be added on. There was an injury to Buendia in injury time, so we're going to have a bit more time added on here. But it looks like Newcastle are going to progress to the 5th round of the FA Cup, leading by 3-1 here against 10-man Aston Villa. Dan Burn thumps a long ball forward. Lindelof with a header away. Onana plays it back to Luca Digne. Luca Digne twists away from Tonali, plays it back this time to Torres. Torres scoops the ball out towards those technical areas far side, headed away by Newcastle. Lindelof gets Murphy's header down and plays it back to Emiliano Martinez. Away to my right-hand side, he comes out of the Villa penalty area and spikes the ball right-footed. Up towards Watkins. Watkins beaten in the air by Burn. Hall heads it forward. Willock tries to get the ball down, does so, gets it to Tonali. Villa with it back on the halfway line. Buendia with a flick that goes straight